Jamar was happy, friendly, had lots of friends, liked to be out in the crowd and make everybody laugh.
Deontay was of course, he was a lovable person, but he liked to make people laugh. He was very smart. Sometimes talking to him was like, talking to an older person.
We kind of grew up together. I was so young when I had him. So we were kind of like brothers and sisters, everybody would say, because we would always argue or make bets on something. So he kind of got that from me.
My sister was attending Bryan University. So we decided just to go to Bryan University just to get some information because he refused to go to like a university. Too many people. He didn't want to deal with that. We went to the school and we talked to the administrators. And that day, he enrolled in school. I was not expecting that. I was expecting him to, just get some pamphlets and think about it. But no, he was on it. His aunt went back to school with him while he was going, and they actually graduated together. So to have two people graduating from one class was a very big accomplishment.
I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and so is he. And it was getting very rough, kind of dangerous. And so we moved here thinking we would have a better life and be safer. Didn't end that way.
I feel like I barely got into sleep because I worked until 11 p.m. that night. And I got a call from Columbia Police Department, and they said they needed to talk to me. I got very, very anxious at that moment. I'm like, just tell me what you want to talk to me about. And they said that we need to talk to you in person. And I was like, please, please, just tell me, what do you need to talk to me about? The whole time I'm thinking about like, what could be happening right now? What could possibly be happening at 2 in the morning? So I decided to call my son to see if he knew what was going on. And he didn't answer. That moment when he didn't answer the phone, I just kind of knew that something had happened to him. I knew that something had happened to him.
It was a Saturday night, and he came over and he told me he was getting ready to go out, and that was about 8 o'clock, I guess. And then I was asleep, and I got a 3 o'clock in the morning call. And my friend, she could barely talk. And she was like, my son just called, and he said Jamar had been shot, and he wasn't breathing. And I was just like numb. I didn't understand what she just said.
I saw the police coming up the cul-de-sac, and my heart just started dropping. And a detective got out the car and he asked me, was I Deontay's mom? And I said yes. And he said, I'm sorry, but Deontay's dead. And I just kind of lost it at that moment. Just can remember screaming and screaming, like, no, this can't be happening. This shouldn't be happening.
They have two break times. So there's one right there off of the highway, and there was no cop cars or anything. So I was like, oh, well, maybe, this isn't true. And we went to the other one, and that's when I saw all the lights and all the people. And we pulled up, and I saw his car with all these bullet holes in it. And I started screaming and running. And the police stopped me, and he said, well, what do you need? And I said, that's my son's car. And he said, well, he's not here right now. He's at the hospital. I just kept praying. Then the doctors came in, and they said that we tried all we could, and he didn't make it. And I remember telling, are you sure it's Jamar? He has dreads. And they were like, yes, he has dreads. And I was like, well, maybe it still wasn't him. And she said, no, ma'am, it's him. I asked, could I see him? And she said, yes. And I went to the room, and there's police all over. And they said I couldn't touch it. And that was the worst part, is saying goodbye to your child. And you can't hold them, or you can't kiss them, or hold their hand, anything. My baby was gone. I remember leaving, and the sun was starting to come out. And I just didn't understand why the sun was coming out, because my son was gone. And everything still moves on, the sun was out. And I said, it should be raining and storming, because I'm angry. I'm upset. My child is gone, and there's nothing I can do about it.
First, it'd be patrol would get called to the scene, and then they would confirm everything, secure the scene. For us, what happens next is, so they will call us all in, however many they feel that we need for the scene. I myself, I'm on the robbery homicide unit, but I'm also the team leader of the forensic evidence team. So my job from there is to then get a hold of my evidence techs and make sure that I get them going to the different places they need to go. And when you think scene, you got to think it's not just a place, it's also like a vehicle is a scene, a person can be a scene, a place can be a scene. So we have to make sure that we have enough manpower to go to all those scenes. We start interviewing people and looking at stuff. We'll go around the clock as long as it takes until we run out of leads. It's one of those things, especially in a homicide, where you can't just put off and say, we'll hold it for next week. If you have a lead that's important, you have to follow up on it right then, or you could end up losing evidence and losing the case. We've had cases, I know, that we've run 4 or 5 days in a row with minimal breaks just because leads kept coming in and the case was still active. That's working 12 hours in a 4-hour break, 16 hours in a 4-hour break, and you just keep going like that.
Life is never going to be normal for me again. Never. Should never had to plan my son's funeral. Never. No mom wants to do that. That is by far the hardest thing I've ever had to do. And try to stay strong for my youngest son. I was just falling apart right in front of him.
My 11-year-old want to walk to the park by itself, and I'm like, no, we're not going to the park. We can't go out after dark. And it's just really hard because every time I hear about something, I think, is this the same people? If somebody took my friend, I would tell who did it.
You have TV out there that shows everything being solved in an hour or 2 hours, and it's done. When in reality, a lot of those things that they show on television take months. They're not just things that take a few minutes. If you look at our lab that we use, which is the Missouri State Highway Patrol's lab, they do the vast majority of lab work for the entire state. And so when we send them stuff, and they're granted homicides get bumped to the top, but you're still looking at several months to get any kind of results. In dealing with that, you just have to explain to the families the reality of the situation. It is not a couple-day process. Even once a person's arrested, you're still looking at probably years of litigation before you ever have a result. I will tell them that if I have anything new, I will call them, but I also don't discourage them from calling in. If they want to call every week, they can call every week, and I will talk to them every week, just because they're just needing something to try and make sense of things. So we understand that.
I've actually heard my soul cry, even when I wasn't. I was trying to smile and get through the day, but I could just feel my heart just crying out. Just crying out for my firstborn son. It was half of my heart. Now it's just gone. It will never be the same. It will never be the same.
We go and talk to him, but it's not the same because he's not talking back to us. And I think people don't understand that. Once they die, they're gone, and that affects all of us. You know, he had 2 brothers. He had stepbrothers and sisters. I really don't feel alive, you know, and it's just really hard. I have 2 other kids that I have to, you know, be strong for. Every day is a struggle.